Today's topic is spool administration. What is spool? Why we use spool work process? For printing purpose, we have a special type of work process in SAP. What is that work process? Spool work process. Spool work process is dedicated for printing. Whenever end user gives a print, the dispatcher will give that work to spool work process. Spool work process is responsible for this printing mechanism. Right? For example, this user, my screen is visible to all, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So this user created one document. Let's take example hello world. One document is there, and he gave print. He gave print of one document. Immediately, what happens? Two things will happen. Spool request will generate, and spool data will generate. Spool request is what? One number will be assigned for that print. That number is called as spool request. There will be one unique number for each and every print. That number is called as a spool request. Just like a transport request, for each and every change you will be having one unique transport request ID, right? The same way one spool request will be generated, and whatever the data you gave print that raw data will be stored in a spool data, like a spool data. Where it will be stored? In a temp-say location. What is this temp-say? Temporary sequential database. In our database, we are having one thing called as a temp-say database. So this temp-say means there is a parameter for this temp-say. Temp-say parameter will be G or DB. If the parameter rspo/store underscore location, that is the parameter. If that parameter value is G, your temp-say location is your global directory. USR, SAP, SID, sys, global. USR directory means at application level. The spool data will store at application level. If you give that parameter value rspo/store underscore location is equal to DB, then this temp-say database will be created in your database in TST01, TST03 tables. So if I give one page as a print, this document hello world as a print, immediately what happens? Two things will happen. Spool request will generate, means one number will be assigned to that, and whatever the data, raw data, that data will be stored in temp-say location. Where is the location of temp-say? For that, we have one parameter rspo/store underscore location. I'll show you that parameter. Yeah. This parameter rs, screen is visible?
Yes.
rspo/store underscore location. That parameter value you can give G or DB. If you give G, that is a global directory at OS level. USR, SAP, SID, sys, global. That directory. If you give this parameter value as DB, that will be stored into the database in TST01, TST03 tables. That means whenever you give print, what happens? Two things will happen. Spool request will generate. Along with that spool request, that data, whatever data you are trying to print, that data is stored at one location. That location is called as a temp-say location. So what happens if you give the temp-say location as a G? What are the advantages? If you give DB, what are the advantages? If you give DB, the temp-say location, the temporary data location, DB means the data is storing in TST01, TST03 tables. Daily you take the backup of your database. So this temp-say tables also gets backed up daily. If you give this temp-say location as a G, will you copy your file system daily? No, we don't take backup of USR directory daily. That is one of the disadvantages of G. Advantage of DB is daily you take the backup. Okay, if you give DB, all this data is storing unnecessarily in your database. This is not final, no use of this data. For example, I gave hello world print. Is this data useful for me? Temporarily it is storing at that location. After that it will be get printed. This data is hectic for your database. It is unnecessarily building your data growth size. Your data size is growing. That is the reason we are having some standard background jobs. Did you remember SAP underscore reorg underscore old spool, SAP underscore reorg underscore ababdums? So what these standard background jobs will do? These jobs, these standard housekeeping jobs will delete unnecessary data from your database. That is the reason we run one job called SAP underscore reorg underscore spool. What that job will do? It will delete this unnecessary data from your database. This is a temporary location. Why you need this? After that, what happens? Who will create this pull request? Whenever you give print, immediately, did you remember? Whatever the work comes to your dispatcher, first the work will go to dialog work process. Then it will give to other work processes. Do you know that? When I am explaining you architecture, I told you this. The request will come to message server, from message server to dispatcher, dispatcher to appropriate work process. Did you remember that? Message server, gateway, and dispatcher. Message server, okay, gateway, dispatcher. Dispatcher will have dialog, background, update, spool. Dispatcher will give that work to spool work process, I told you. But actually what happens, this dispatcher will give that work to whatever the work comes, whether it may be printing work, background work, login work. First that will give that work to dialog work process. Then this dialog work process will give that work to appropriate work process. This will happen actually. If it is a long running job, the dialog work process give that work to background. If it is an update job, the dialog work process will give to spool update. If it is a printing, the dialog work process will give that work to spool work process. Got it? So now whenever I give print, immediately dialog work process will comes into picture. It will create a spool request and it will create spool data. That's it. Spool data means raw data. Actually, you are printing some check. You are doing some check printing. So this spool data is a raw data. It will be not in a check printable format. Just raw data, whatever the data present in that screen, that will be bundled together and saved as a saved in TMC database. Later, spool work process will comes into picture and it will read this spool data and it will create a output request according to the print format. For example, if you are printing a check print, this spool request will read that spool data, raw data, and it will format that data into check format, check printing format. That is called as a output request. And it will give that output request to operating system spooler, means the printer. Then the printer will give the print. So who is creating a spool request? Which work process creating a spool request? Dialog work process. Which work process creating a output request? Spool request. Spool work process. Remember these two things. They will ask you in interview, difference between spool request and output request. Spool request is created by dialog work process. Later, that spool data is read by your spool work process. According to the printer format, it will create a output request and it will give to operating system spooler. So dialog work process will create a spool request. Spool work process will create a output request. Is it clear with everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you explain one more time?
Okay, right. I'll draw an image. Okay. Hello Ganesh, how are you? This is my database. This is my document. If I open this document, this information is there. Okay. I gave print first. Immediately what happens? Spool request generate and spool data generates. Spool request means what? One number will be generating. Okay, for example, 10000006235. One number will be generated. That is a spool request. And spool data is hello Ganesh. Not hello Ganesh. How are you? Simple. The raw data, no format. But my format is what? This format. But is there any format? Entire data, it is storing it where? In the Temse database. Where it is storing? In a Temse database. What is my Temse location? For example, I gave Temse location as G. Means what? Global directory. Global directory means USR, SAP, SID, sys, global. I'll show you that location. In this location, it will store. If I give DB as my location, Temse location is DB, then it will store in the TST01 and TST03 tables in the database. Your wish, you can give that parameter value G or DB. If you give DB, that will store in the database. If you give G, that will store at the application level. This for temporary purpose. Then who created all these? Your dialover process. Later, this dialover process will call spool work process to print this data. Spool work process will come and read this data, raw data, and it will convert that data to printable format. Hello Ganesh, now how are you? This is the actual printable format, right? This format is called as output request. This is output request. So output request is having format. The spool data, no format. Which format? Whatever the print. For example, on a document, on a land related document. So that format, it will present the data. This is an output request. This is spool request is a number. Output request is a formatted, printable formatted data. Whatever a print. Is it a fax print? Fax format. It is a check print? Check format. It will convert that spool data to that printable format. Check format will be different, right? Your A4 format is different, check format is different, fax format is different, right? And that format it will create. Did you got it? Still doubt?
Yeah, got it.
Okay. See. So I gave this document hello world as a print. Immediately spool request is generated. Means one number is allocated for that print request, and whatever the data, that data is stored in Temse location in a unstructured format. Whatever the printer you are having, fax printing, check printing, or any other printing, the raw data hello Ganesh, hello world will be there. Then after that, dialover process called spool work process. Spool work process will come and read that unformatted data, and it will convert that unformatted data into formatted data. Whatever the print you are giving, check printing or fax printing, and that format it will convert. That formatted data is called as output request. That output request will be given to your operating system spooler, means your printer. Then the print will come. So spool request is created by dialover process, output request is created by your spool work process. And Temse, what is Temse? Temporary sequential database. That is a temporary location for your print data. If you give DB, it will go and sit in your tst01, tst03 table. If you give G, it will go and sit in your global directory. If you give global directory, what happens? Your file system will be filled. If you give tst01, tst03 DB, your database will get unnecessary data. For that, for removing of that, we are having some standard background jobs, right? Housekeeping jobs. If you run that background job daily once or hourly once, based on the spool request, how much you create in your organization, that will delete this unnecessary data from this TempC database on a regular interval. See, now to understand this concept, access method is there. Access method. What is this access method? Access method is denoted by a alphabetic, A, B, C, D alphabet. This alphabet will tell you which architecture you are using, which operating system you are using. For example, we are having Linux operating systems, Unix operating systems, and this in printing also we are having three types of prints. What are they? Local printing, remote printing, and front-end printing. Local printing, remote printing, front-end printing. And you are having two types of operating systems: Windows operating systems, Linux operating systems. So this access method will tell you which operating system you are using, which architecture you are using, whether you are printing, you are doing local printing or remote printing or a front-end printing. See, access method C and L. C for Windows operating system, local printing. L for Linux operating system, local printing. What is this local printing? I'll tell you. Three types of printings are there. What are they? Local printing, remote printing, and front-end printing. Local printing means your spool work process and operating system spooler both on same host. Then we call it as local printing. Your operating system spool and your SAP spooler both are on same host. Means, for example, in this laptop I installed SAP. I installed SAP application means I got spool work process on this system. The same system I installed the printer, that is called as a local printing. Got it? This is my application server file, dvembgs sub 00. Do I have spool work process? Yes, my host name is India. The same host I install my printer. That means I have SAP spool work process and the printer configuration both on same host. This printing is called as local printing. Got it? We are having three types of printings. Local printing. One is local printing. Second one is remote printing. Third one is front-end printing.
Front-end printing.
Local printing, remote printing, and front-end printing. Local printing means what? Your SAP spool work process and operating system spooler both on same host. If you configure printer on India host and you install SAP on India host, then it is called as local printing. For local printing, access methods are two. Access method is denoted by alphabet, I told you. C and L for local printing. If your operating system is Windows operating system, then we use C, means local printing, Windows operating system, this combination, C. Local printing, Linux operating system, we use L. While configuring a printer, you will get these access methods. We need to select C, L, F, G, S, U. What is C? C means Windows operating system and local printing. L means Linux operating system, local printing. Doubt or clear?
Clear.
If you give C, what happens? Directly Windows operating system, your spool work process will tell this operating system to give the print. L means it will use LP, LPD commands. At Linux level, everything is a command based, right? It will give, whenever you give print in a backend, LP command, LPD command will execute. That's it. That is a local printing. Remote printing, the next one. Remote printing means SAP spool work process and the operating system spooler both on different hosts. Means you install SAP in one host and you configure printer on some other host. Then it is called as a remote printing. In local printing, spool work process and the printer configuration on the one box. But here, different boxes. That means if you give print from here, it should go to printer. So it needs a fixed IP address. In a network, it will go to that IP address. On that IP address, printer is configured. From there, you will get a printer. From there, you will get print. That is called as a remote printing. For remote printing, we are having two access methods, S and U. For Unix operating system, remote printing, use U. Windows operating system, remote printing, you can use U or S. When we use S, when we use U. For example, your printer drivers are not there in operating system. Along with the operating system, by default, you will get some printer configurations, printer drivers. If you install Windows 7, Windows 8 or Windows 10, by default you will get Wi-Fi drivers, sound drivers, yes or no? The same way, few well-known companies' printer drivers also will be installed automatically along with your operating system. While configuring printer, for example, you are having some Dell printer. If you search in operating system, you will get a Dell printers installed. Then use U. For example, if you are using some Chinese printer, that printer drivers are not there in this Windows operating system or Linux operating system, then use S. S means SAP Win. SAP Win protocol. SAP S-Print protocol. If you give U, it is a Berkeley protocol. Don't get confused. While configuring printer, you will understand all these things. This is local printing, right? Remote printing means you install SAP in one box and you configure printer at one box. You will be having spool work process here. Spool work process. And you configure printer at other. So when you give print here, how this system, this printer knows. So you will be having fixed IP address. So whenever you give print, that will go to that IP address. Okay, this system is having printer, so you'll get a print here. That is remote printing. Local printing means your spool work process and your printer both on India host. Remote printing means in India host you are having spool work process, on Japan host you are having printer configured. That is remote printing. For local printing you use C and L. C for Windows, L for Linux operating system. So this access method is telling you which operating system you are using and which architecture you are. Which architecture means whether it is a local printing, remote printing or front-end printing. C means local printing. Okay, C means local printing plus Windows operating system. L means local printing plus Linux operating system. S means, U means remote printing and Windows operating system or else Unix operating system. Yes means remote printing and you don't have the drivers. And final printing is front end printing. Final third type of printer is front end printing. Front end print means what? Where you install your SAP GUI, there you will get a print. That is called as a front end printing. If you go to Starbucks or any DMart, so you are going to some desk, billing desk. There itself you are getting print, right? That is called as a front end printing. For example, Starbucks is using, for example, DMart is using SAP. You are having some 5 counters there. If you go to counter number 1, where you are getting print, at counter number 1 only you are getting print. But in that laptop, the desktop, do you install SAP? No, only SAP GUI will be installed there. DMart server is in Mumbai at their plant, but you are shopping at Hyderabad LB Nagar. You are getting print there itself. That is called as a front end printing. Mostly used printing is what? Front end printing. So your SAP, through SAP GUI, the request will go to your SAP LPD command. It will pass SAP LPD command. It will give you a print. That is called as a front end printing. See, I'm having my application server, my database, my SAP GUI system. I have printer configured here at my present day. Means your laptop you configure printed, where you will be having your SAP GUI. Where is your spool work process? At application server. But you are getting print where? At your GUI. You are sitting at your home. You are giving print. You are getting, your printer is connected to your laptop. That is called as a front end printing. If the printer is connected here, your spool work process and printer on the same host, that is local printing. This is front end printing. Remote printing means your application is here, your printer is somewhere else in some other box. Your printer is here. That is a remote printing. Got it? For front end printing we use F, access method. So here you will get a question, what is the access method? Access method is a alphabet which will tell you which architecture in use, which operating system you are using. Which architecture, which operating system. Which operating system means whether you are using Windows operating system or Linux operating system. Which architecture means whether you are using front-end printing, remote printing or a local printing. I'll show you the configuration, then you'll understand what exactly I mean to say. To configure printer or any output device, there is a T code called SPAD. SPAD, SPAD. Can you please relog in so that I'll show you the configuration of print. To configure a printer or any fax, there is a T code called SPAD. SPAD, SPAD T code for output devices. Display, it will show you what all the output devices configured in your system. Output devices, display. Okay. See, I have 2 printers configured. You want to configure a new printer. Go to change. Now you will get a create button. Create. Before that, you have to configure a printer at OS level. How you configure at OS level? Go to control panel, add hardware. Okay, configure printer. See, add hardware. Like that you need to configure printer. Okay, fine. After configuring printer, you have to give one output device name. Okay, test testing printer, or else I will say check printing. I'm configuring one printer called check printer, given short name chk. Okay, see here I am having four options: device attributes, access method, output attributes, tray info. Device type, here you will be having so many printers. See, HP printer, IBM printer, LG printer, Epson printer, Dell printer, all the printers. Okay, if you configure, for example, Dell printer, you configured some Dell printer, or else HP printer. Okay, I'm going with Dell. Just give whatever the printer you configured at OS level, you have to select that printer here. Dell 3333DN, remember this. Dell 3333. This printer type you configured at OS level. Okay, you select that printer. Okay, SAP Spool server. Where is your Spool? Work process is there. How many application servers I am having? Only one application server, which is having Spool work process. I am giving that. Your host is India. Device class. Which printer? Fax or telex, device pool, logical output, job ticketing tool, or I'm giving standard printer. Okay. Model. Which model? DL 3333. Location, where that printer is located. Okay, for example, second floor. Okay, room number 205. Message, why we are using that print? That is a check printer. Okay, that is a check printer. Fine. Next, access method. You are having that drivers here, right? So access method, local printing. If you are printing local, then use L. What is your operating system? Windows operating system, right? So direct give C. If your operating system is Linux, then give L for local printing. If it is a remote printing, if you are having drivers, then give U using Berkeley protocol. When I say remote printing, it is asking for destination host. Here you need to mention that IP address of that printer configuration, on which system you configure printer. If you are not having that printer drivers, see, if your printer is not there in this list, you have to use, okay, not this. If your printer is not there in that list, what you choose here? SAP Win. SAP Win. This driver, this is a common regular driver, master drivers you can say. Okay, then you have to use access method S if it is a remote printing. But now I am going with what? Dell printer. I am having that drivers. Okay, Dell 3333, no? Yeah, this one. So access method, local printing, Windows operating system. So use C. Host printer. On this host, same host, na? India. Output attributes. So if you check this, the SAP cover page will come, the SAP logo will come, and the language, in which language you want that logo. I don't want any logo. Okay. Host spool cover page, do not print. Okay. This is for your ABAPers, not for us. Okay. And print mode, default mode. Simplex, duplex. Simplex means single page, print on one side. Duplex means print on both sides. Tumble duplex means print both side reverse. So I am going with default printing. And which tray? For printer you will be having trays, na? Paper trays. So default tray I am using. If you are having papers in tray 1, you can select that. Tray info. Page format. Which format you are using? Check printing or remote or what? Fax printing what? Generally we go with legal. Legal means your A4 size paper. Okay. Say save. Output device check printer was saved. That's it. Your printer is configured. Which printer? Your Dell printer you are using for check printing. Now I want to give print something. Oh, this page I want to give print. Simple. Here the print option, control P is there, or else select this print. On which output device? I have 4 printers configured there. Search. For on check printing I am going to give this print. Number of copies. How many copies? 1 copy. Everything. Or else you can select from page number 2 to page number 10. Whatever your wish. Say OK. Immediately what happens? Spool request is generated. Remember that number. Note down that number. Without that number you cannot print that. Now this page's print will create a spool request. What is that number? 000000111403. If you lost that number you cannot print that. So I am taking a photo of that. Okay. Spool request is generated. Now you want to print that. Simple. Then go to SP01 T code. SP01. Give that spool request number here. What is that number? 000000111403. Right? Now give. Now execute. See? This one. It is printing now. Spool request created, one output request. The status completed successfully. What? Hyphen means what? Status. Printer is not configured. Simple. If printer is configured now, you will get print of that screen. This is what your spool administration. Simple. If you want to print this page, give print. On which device you want to print? I have some 4 printers. On check printing I am going to give this print. Okay, 1 copy. Okay. Immediately one spool request will create 11404 and go to SP01. For spool request go to SP01. Give that number 0000111404 and say execute. Now this will execute. Print. Give print. See, the status is waiting. Keep refresh. Error. What error you got? Incorrect error sending data. So if you see the log, output request log, the printer is not connected. You will get that. Here you can see the log. Print request in processing. The host spool is reporting errors. Errors occur processing the spool. There may be no printout. This is what the printer name is invalid. Printer is not configured to my laptop now. That is the reason I am not getting print. Can we do one more time? Another printer. Configure another printer. See.
Yes.
SPAD to configure output device SPAD. Okay. Go to output devices display. So you are having 3 printers. No, I want to configure a new printer. Okay. Change. Create. Output device name. Give one name. Training print. Anything. Training printer. Give a short name. TRN. For example, your device is not there in this list. In this list, your printer, whatever you configured at OS level, that printer is not here. So what option you choose? Which printer you choose? Your printer is not there in these companies. Already 100 printers are 100, almost 200 printers are configured, but your printer name is not here. Then you have to choose SAP Win. If your printer is there, you choose Dell or anything, Epson printer, whatever. But if your printer is not there, your printer drivers are not there at operating system level, then what you do? You have to choose
SAP Win.
SAP
SAP Win.
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 Oh, where is that? SAP Win. SAP Win. That means your printer drivers are not there. If your printer is Dell printer, give that. Epson printer, give that. IBM printer, give that. Now, host is India. Device class standard printer. Okay, not it is a fax printing, it is a standard print. Okay, model, for example, some any Chinese model. There is no location. Okay, third floor, room number 305. Message, training printer. The details, just details. Access method. Now tell me, which access method you use for remote printing? If it is a local printing, Windows operating system, go with C. If it is a Linux operating system, select L. If you use C, direct operating system call will happen. It will directly print. If you give L, it will, in a backend, it will use LPR command. If you give L na, in your instance profile, you have to mention this parameter, LPR parameter. There is a parameter for that. If it is a remote printing and I don't have drivers, then what you do? For remote printing, S and U are there. If drivers are there, give U. If drivers are not there, give S. Print using SAP protocol. Then destination host. That IP address you have to give. And output attributes. Don't select cover page and default printing, default tray, tray info, simple format, legal format, and say save. Enter a destination host. See, without that destination host, it won't configure your printer. Why you choose what? Remote printing. When you say remote printing, you have to give the fixed IP address of that host which is having printer configuration. If I give local printing, see, Windows operating system local printing, no IP address will be asked. If I give L, if it is a Linux operating system, L, but my operating system is Windows here, so I'm going with C. If I have my drivers there, I'll choose that driver, that company's printer. If I don't have drivers there, I'll choose SAP Win. If it is a front-end printing, then I'll go with F, print on front-end computer. So if you give front-end printing means you will get print on your machine. You are connecting SAP from your home. In that laptop, you are having only SAP GUI installed, but printer is there. Then give front-end printing. Is it clear? So as of now, I'm going with local printing, C Windows. This is device attributes is the printer which don't have drivers, that I selected. Access method I gave C, and output attributes. Okay, everything is fine. And tray info, legal, and I'm saving the printer. Specify a spool server. Where is that? Device attributes, spool server. The same host, na? India, where I am having spool. Okay, save. Now your host printer name. What is that host printer name? Save host India. Then I say save. Output device training printer was saved. Okay, fine. See, saved. Now I want to give print. This page I want print. Simple. Give print. you will get like this printer. Okay, I'll go with this print. This is not giving print. This 51. Okay, this page I want print. Print. It will ask you for output. On which device I need to give print. Search. And training printer I want this print. Number of copies 1. Okay. It will create a spool request. Spool request is created. 11406. Now go to SP01 T code. SP01. Spool request 0000111406. Execute. Select this 406 and say print. See, it is waiting. Refresh. Got error. What error? You'll get a log there. Print log. Where is the log? If you click on this, you'll get a job log. Print is not successful. Like that, you can configure n number of printers. Before doing this, you have to configure, see, output request is created. Before configuring printer here, first of all, you have to configure printer at operating system level. How you configure printer there? Simple. Go to control panel, hardware, add device or printer. Add device. So you have to connect to printer. Select that printer company. See, no device is found. If you connect that printer now, you will get options. If you want to connect to fax, if you want to connect to print, any output device, this is the way. First of all, you have to add printer here. Printer name, Dell printer, you will get that company there. If you add that printer, next, select a printer by name. See, browse. You have to select that printer drivers here and you have to configure the printer. After configuring printer, then come to SAP, hit SPAD, there select that company. If you don't have that printer drivers company there, select SAP Win. Simple. So here you will get questions like, what is spool request, what is output request, what is temp say location, what is access method. These 5 questions you will get from spool administration. What is spool request? Whenever end user gives a print, dialog work process will comes into picture and it will create a spool request. What is the output request? The dialog work process will call the spool work process. Spool work process read that spool data, unformatted data, and create a output request. What is temp say? Temp say is a temporary sequential database. Your spool data will be saved temporarily at one location. That location is called as a temp say database. What is the location of that temp say database? There is a parameter rspO/store_location. If that parameter value is G, that temp say location will be global directory. If that parameter value is DB, temp say location will be in a database tst01, tst03 tables. What is access method? Access method is denoted by alphabetic, which will tell you which architecture you are using, which operating system you are using. That is what access method. And spool status. You will get a spool status, just like your background work process status is there. Na? What are the status of background work process? Scheduled, release, ready, active, finished, cancelled. The same way you are having some spool statuses. Hyphen means printer is not configured. Error means error. Completed means completed. In processing means processing. I gave you that spool statuses in your material. Please go through that. This is about your spool administration. That's it. Any doubts? You won't understand for first time. I'll share you the recording. Go through the recording 1 or 2 times, then only you will understand what is exactly spool administration, what are the access methods. The main access methods are C and L. For Windows operating system, local printing, we use C and L. If it is a local printing and Windows operating system, use C. If it is a local printing, Unix operating system or Linux operating system, use L. For remote printing, S and U. S means if you don't have any drivers, use S. If you are having drivers, then use U. For front end printing, F. That's it. Any doubts?